Okay. So as I said, impairment in two dimension that we have exercise number 21 and exercise number 26. Difference in when there is an asset that generates cash, then its treatment is different to the other. So we had an introduction on how to handle this. That FRS number 21, in actual sense, was rooting to the basic characteristics of what? Public sector. Therefore, it does not have FRS equivalent. But IPSAS number 26 is rooting from IS number 36. That is very important. So we have example of public sector in Tanzania. For example, who are the user of IPSAS 21? Almost 90% of the public sector, ministry, defense force, local government entities, and others. But very few with IPSAS 26. In 26, we have entities like Air Tanzania. We have entities like Central Bank or currently Postal Bank. The Postal Bank, always this one, is it holds the asset which bring the cash. And we have the JKCY sometimes, because the JKCY owns some machines where patients are paying money in exchange of the service rendered. So it's just a policy to see how the asset is being used. Currently, we have the so-called Dodoma Hotel. Dodoma Hotel has been rented to a third party on a commercial base, and it is an investment property. So its impairment, this is the special classification. So we had to discuss depreciation in exchange to what is happening in impairment. Depreciation, you just allocate a depreciable amount on a useful life of an asset. But impairment is a decline in service potential or is a decline in economical benefit over and above the useful life of an asset. So we had to discuss the difference between impairment and what? Depreciation. I think this one, it was clear. Now we have some indicators to impairment where we can accommodate external and what? Internal. Okay. So let's go further. I told you commercial return are the assets which are only for the purpose of generating income return. But for the service, for non-commercial, it is an asset headed for the purpose of rendering the service only. We have these examples on how to go for impairment. There is an issue of technology. It can cause us to be impaired. An issue of technology, I said SGR is coming. So the audit trend is going to be impaired because almost people can depart from using it. We have the accidents. When there is accidents, possibly this is an indicator. When you had construction, make it not to go, then also it's an indicator. We have these assets in our books. The OD typings, the OD machine, the OD computer, the Lotus One laptop, computers and others. They are all division, therefore. They get impaired because of technology or whatever. This is transformer having an accident. Therefore, an accident is another example of what? Indicator to impairment. Actually, we have a lot of description. Remember these phones in the last days. And this one, I don't know. Of course, these phones, they may exist in our office. And a very new brand. New one. But actually, because our technology has gone, it is very possible we can impair them. Even intangible assets. If we have an intangible asset in terms of software, which its version has been overtaken by events. Therefore, such intangible asset is deemed to be impaired. For example, the epico are no longer in place. So, we have several examples in the public sector. and several others. Remember TANESCO, the front building has been taken off. So in this ground, TANESCO, they must report impairment in their books. APTL now is coming in, isn't it? In actual sense, they say that, okay, APTL were using some kind of input fuels, lubricants with a certain specification. And currently, we have gone into gas. Therefore, during 2020, this plant was not in operation. Now, I've seen sometimes, some few weeks ago, it was a discussion that APTL can start its operation. That is a reversal to what? Impairment. Okay. So reversal to impairment, I think you now understand that a condition that makes impairment now does not exist. Okay, now let us see what we can see in the computation specifically. Okay, can we say something here? This cash generating asset, do you understand it? Okay, let me put something here so that you can see a new terminology. Cash generating what? Asset. Now, which standard can we use this one? Let me first describe what is a cash generating asset. Yeah? Who can tell me what is a cash generating asset? Yeah? Sophia?
I think maybe it's the asset which you can use to get cash.
Asset used to get cash.
For example,
yes.
Railway station.
Yes. So railway station. First of all, an asset is cash generating because it's generating cash. That's very good information. A good start. Now, why do we call a unit? Now it's saying a unit, isn't it? Yes, tell me. Good news. So, it says what? 26 will stay. Sasa, I want to tell you something very important. When I say cash generating asset, kwa mfano, Sophia, una mtoto?
Ndio.
Haya. Kati ya wewe na baba, mtoto ni wa nani?
Baba.
Unaona? Wewe muondoe mama, mtoto anapatikana? Hamna. Kwa hiyo katika distinction mtoto ni wa wote. Kwa sababu hawezi kupatikana bila wawili. Ndio kesi inazungumzwa hapa. Sasa ukitaka kuelewa cash generating unit, anzia hapo. Kwamba mtoto ni wa nani? Lazima wawili wawepo. Ina maana kama mtoto anategemea wawili, manake ile ni unit. Ndio neno unit kuanzia. Sasa tuanze kwa mfano. You have a photocopy, a printer. You have a computer. This is a computer. Again, you have a printer. Do you get me? So, a computer is here. You type your Word document. Do you get me? You type a Word document. After typing, you command a printer to print. Do you understand? Now, there must be a connection between a computer and a printer. So, this connection is done as follows. You connect this way here. You connect a computer to a printer. So, as you connect, you print. Do you get me? Now, a unit comes in when you sell that document, that one page is ZS, this amount per what? Per page. Do you understand? So this cash, you are selling it to a customer. Now, this 1,500 is a cache generated from how many assets? This is a cache generated from where? From 2 assets. So you can't tell me that a printer produces 1,500 shillings. You can't say so. Because you must have a printer to print document. The document must have been prepared from the computer. Therefore, you have a system of CGU that you have 2 assets which depend each other. Now, if the assets are in combination, there must be another asset which is not seen. This asset is goodwill. So in any CGU, there must be a goodwill that arises when 2 or more assets combine to generate the cache. Do you understand? So this is number 1. I want to make it clear. So if you say a CGU, number 1, there must be 2 assets. Number 2, those 2 assets must involve generating commercial return in exercise number 26. From there, whenever there is 2 assets, there must be added another asset which is not seen, an intangible asset. It's like this. Ukioa mke, mnakuwa wawili, lakini katikati yenu kunakuwa na heshima ya ndoa. Ndio maana mtu sasa asipokuwa na mke, yani ofisini ile heshima inakuwa haipo. Na unapokuja na mke unakuta watu wanawaona kama kitu kimoja, wanakaa pembeni. Wale makahaba wanakaa mbali. Na wanapokuona huna mke pale, yani utakuta uheshimiki pale. Hata nafasi fulani za cheo zinakuja kwa sababu na nini? Una mke. Ukitaka kugombea urais, hayo inakuja hivi. Vyote vile lazima. Kwa hiyo ina maana sasa ile goodwill, ile heshima inayokuja. Kwa sasa hapa tuna asset ngapi? 2. Kwa ya kwanza tunasema goodwill. Unasikia mpaka? Then unakuja computer. Then unakuja nini? Printer. Sasa hii ndio ya msingi. Sasa hapa utakuja kupata nini? Total asset. This is how it works. Nimeleka mpaka? Sasa you must note this information, please. So when we go to number 2, the same. Number 2, example number 2. Assume sasa una scanner. Sawa? Kwa hiyo sasa you must have a computer somewhere, and then you have a scanner somewhere. So this scanner must get connected to a computer. And once you scan a document, you can convert it into a PDF form and send to somebody, or transfer elsewhere, and the service must be paid for it. So exactly must have connections. Can you scan a document without having a computer? No. So we have a scanned document. And you sell it to third party on a commercial basis per page. Therefore, we are now suggesting that there is a demarcation where we can have a CGU. So this is a CGU. So this CGU composes goodwill on a combination of asset, and we have computer and what? And the scan. Since this document is being sold, then we are saying this is a cash generating asset. Remember, CGU, cash generating asset. So these are the carrying amount and others. Now, how can we, for example, if you see the unit is not working, now, can you easily identify what is not working between a computer and a scanner. So, impairment of CGU. Now, it has some technical things. Impairment of what? CGU in the public sector. We are saying it's not possible to see that the unit, if the unit is not working, in practice, you have to test in a single asset to see which asset, which portion. But so far, you must start first with the carrying amount of the CGU. So, number one, you assess the carrying. Step one now. You must assess the carrying amount of what? CGU. That is step number one. Step number two, you must assess the value in use of CGU. Case number two. Number three, you must assess. Step three, you must assess the fair value less cost to sell. If you want to sell the CGU somewhere, how much it could fetch in its condition. So fair value less cost to sell. Step number four, you must assess the recoverable amount. Now, the recoverable amount is the higher between the value in use and the fair value less cost to sell. You get me? After having the recover amount, it is a point now, step number 5, to compare the recover amount and the carrying amount of CGU. So, you compute the impairment of CGU. After having computed impairment of CGU, lastly, you have to allocate the impairment of CGU to individual assets by pro rata basis. Step what? Number 6, allocate impairment on where? Pro rata basis to individual asset. Now, in this allocation, you must start to write off the goodwill. Start, step number 7, start writing off what? Goodwill. That is how it works. Am I clear? Now, the word pro rata in the other cases, it's now a time to make computation on this CGU. And I want you to understand these figures so far. So let us see this example. TANESCO, a public sector entity in Tanzania, has identified an impairment loss of how many? 41 million from one of its cash generating units in Mtera plant. So TANESCO is operating a Mtera plant. You see, the carrying amount of the unit is how many? 150 million. Whereas the recoverable amount of the unit is what? 109 million. Now, the following figure has been produced from the balance sheet. So, we have goodwill. So, simply because the unit consists the so-called corporate asset. The corporate asset are the individual asset excluding the goodwill that forms the cash generating asset. So, corporate asset here are these assets here. Exactly. These are what we call corporate asset. Now, the goodwill comes in when there is the asset are in combination. So goodwill is 13 million, property is 20 million, machine 49, vehicle 35 million, the patent 14 million, and what is a non-monetary asset? It is 19. What are these assets? Who can tell me? Okay. You must be very clear to understand these cases. For example, key issue. Key issues here. Number one, I say. Number one, very important issues. Number one, I said, in CGU, in impairment of what? CGU, the goodwill must be written off in full. Must be written off in full, and it is given a first priority. You get the point? It must first be written in full. Case number 2. What is the net monetary asset? This is a difference between current asset and what? And what? Non-current asset. So, net monetary is current asset minus what? Current liability. This component of figure must be recovered in full. This net monetary asset must be recovered in full. Meaning that you can't impair money. Can you impair money? You have 10,000 shillings, it is 10,000 shillings. No impairment. So it must be recovered in what? In full. These are the two basic concepts in impairment of the cash generating asset in public sector. So let's see. There is a note here. The net selling price of the unit was insignificant except for the what? Property which had a market value of how many? Yes? What was the market value? I repeat, the net selling price of the unit was insignificant except what? Property. So property had a market value of how many? 35 million. So you see what he's saying? This information tells us that property. What is the carrying amount of property? And what is recoverable amount? In TZS, this is 35 million. And what was a carrying amount? Carrying amount of property, it was what? 20, isn't it? So this information is very technical. So the carrying amount is 20. The recovery amount is 35 million. Is a property impaired? No. So I am saying the property is not impaired. So these are the basic information for this problem. The property is not impaired. Now let's see. Can we now compute impairment of the rest and how to go? I say it's very easy. Number one, generate a very good table here. So you should develop the following. First of all, in balance sheet figure, this reflects the carrying amount of these assets as reflected in balance sheet. So first of all, let's say particulars. Number 1, goodwill. Number 2, do you remember? So number 2, it is a property. Number 3, it is a machine. So I write property. Number 3, machine. Number 4, it's a vehicle. Please take care here. So number 4 is a vehicle. How about number 5, a patent, and the rest is net monetary. So we have, do you know a patent? A patent, and lastly, we have net monetary. So we have 6 assets. Remember, once you have a CGU, there must be a goodwill somewhere because of what I've told you. Now, let's see from balance sheet figure, because impairment is assessed by computing the carrying amount, the balance sheet figure, after deducting accumulated depreciation to date. So, let me put this one to draw a nice diagram for illustration. And I'm going to give you a test tomorrow so that I can see how you handle the problem in impairment. So you must listen carefully. So we have the carrying amount here. Remember, the carrying amount of goodwill is how many? 13 million. Isn't it? Okay. How about the property? It was 20 million. How about the machine? The machine, it is 49 and against 35. So the machine is 49. And this one, 35. Do you see? Okay. Lastly, what he's saying, we have patent. The patent is 14 million against 19 million. So it's easy to go. So 14 million against what? 19. That's very simple explanation. Now, once you compute the total asset at balance sheet, we have how many? 150 million. So from here, you draw a demarcation. You draw a demarcation here. So what we are assessing is a component of impairment. A component of what? Number 1. And lastly, there is a component of recoverable amount in million shillings. Am I clear? From the question itself, we said impairment in total is how many? 41, isn't it? Impairment in total is 41, isn't it? 41 million. Am I clear? What? No. It is, the recovery amount is 109 from the problem, isn't it? Now, what's impairment in total? 41. Good news. So 41 is a computed figure that this is a total impairment. Now, let's now give technical issues. How do we allocate this 41 million into every asset? Now, from technical issues, I said, for you start with goodwill, it must be impaired in full. So take all 13. Do you get the point? Again, the net monetary asset here, they can't be impaired in anymore. So this is 0. You must recover them in full. That is the first step. I repeat, you start with a goodwill, you impair the full in full, and you move to the net monetary asset you recover them in full. After that, you go to the details in the notes. The statement provides an information that property is not impaired. So property will be recovered in full from the information. Because the carrying out of property is 20 million, but the recovery amount is 35. Therefore, property has not been impaired. So no impairment of property here. From the notes that this property has no problem. So you recover in full 20 million. Now you have left with how many? This component here. Do you see? So, what now I'm insisting here to take care, this is the point where you can now take the pro rata basis. Now, what is a pro rata basis? Number one, you have to list these three assets. So we have the machine, isn't it? We have the machine, because the power is coming. We have the machine. This is the property, yes. We have the machine. We have the machine. And we have the vehicle. It is the vehicle, isn't it? Yes, a vehicle. And then patent. Now the carrying amount of the vehicle is how much? The carrying amount of a vehicle itself is 35 from the ground. So the machine is 49. And the vehicle is 35. And the patent is 14. Isn't it? So 14. What's the total amount? The total amount? 49. Yeah, 49, 49, and then it's 35 and 14. What is the total amount?
98.
98. So it is 98. Okay. This is the first step. So the remaining asset, we have 3 assets remaining, and each component is a total of 98. Next, you go to impairment. The total impairment is 41 million, isn't it? But 13 million has gone from goodwill. What's the rest? So you take 41 million minus 13. How much is remaining?
28.
It's 28. So the remaining impairment is 28. So what is the pro rata? You are now going to allocate this 28 over the 3 assets based on the carrying amount. For example, the machine itself. The machine had a carrying amount of how many? It is 49, isn't it? Okay. So take 49 over total. The total asset is 98. So 49 for the machine, you take 49 million divided by 98 million, isn't it? You multiply now by the total impairment, which is 28. What is the figure there?
14.
Is it 14? Good news. So impairment of machine is 14 million. We move to the next asset, which is the next asset is a vehicle. So the carrying amount of a vehicle is 35. The carrying amount is 35. So a motor vehicle is 35 million divided by 98. So on pro rata to 28 so far. How much are you getting?
10.
It is 10 million. So impairment of a motor vehicle in a CGU is 10 million. What left is a patent. So a patent is number 3. Yeah? So a patent has a carrying amount of 14. So in a computation, it is 14 divided by 98. Then times 28. How much are you getting?
4 million.
It is 4 million.
Yes.
Okay? I'm not having a calculator there. So already now we have impairment of all 5 assets in particular, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what you can do, you just now put those impairment, for example, let me see somewhere. We have said impairment of machine is 14 million. Machine 14. So take out 14. Now, if you want to compute the recovery amount, the carrying amount of machine is 49. But impairment is 14. The difference is the recovery amount. So take 49 minus what? 14. How much are you taking? 49 minus 14. What?
35 million.
35 million is a recovery amount of a machine on balance sheet. Again, on a motor vehicle, the impairment has been identified as 10 million. So, impairment is 10 million. So take 35 million minus 10 million. How much you get? 25 million. For the patent, the impairment is 4 million, as you told me, isn't it? So you move there, so 4 million. So the carrying amount is 14. So 14 minus 4 million. How much you get? It is 10. 10 million. That is a recovery. So at this point, it's very simple to get started on this. And actually, it has been very useful for computation. Let us take for the power, think something material.